I'm sure the majority of you watching this have a job or some form of income. There's absolutely no reason why you should not be able to spend your money on whatever you want. That sounds idiotic, right? I'm sure that sounds idiotic. Why? Because it is. Hi, my name's Leanne, and I'm sick. We're going to be talking about why that sounds stupid. So, the origin to this story dates back to when I used to be a security officer. This happened about 2 years ago. Back when I was a security officer, I was sitting in this room, the meeting room for the client that worked there. But while before they had taken away from us security officers, that's where the majority of the security officers would sit and talk and just exist until they had to get up and do their job. Now, I do not remember if this person who I was talking to was a new security officer or they had been relocated from a different building. Regardless, they did not originate in the building I worked at. So he had existed in this room and was talking about how he needed to get his hair cut. Now I should mention that my boyfriend loves cutting hair. He's always wanted to be a barber and own a barber shop. That's his dream, that's what he wants to do. And whenever he gets his hands on a large sum of money, he'll definitely be opening one, because that's what he's always wanted to do. That said, I have wanted to try to network him through all possible ways by bringing him up whenever someone needs a haircut or whenever I feel like they can benefit from getting a haircut from him. So that's what I do. I even so much as give people his business card. He doesn't really have one specifically for haircutting, but back then he wanted me to give his business card to anybody just in case they needed something from him. Anyways, so when I heard him mention that he needed his haircut, I was like, well, just so luck would have it, my boyfriend cuts hair. Your first cut is free, the second one costs about $10 or more, I don't know. So I had just given him that bit of information, and he told me that he wasn't interested, which was fine. He had a personal cutter that he wanted to go to, and he doesn't really trust anyone else to do it, which was fine. I went to further explain myself, saying, oh yeah, I understand. My boyfriend just wants to cut hair and loves to cut hair, but isn't able to open up his own shop because he doesn't have the money right now. In fact, he probably won't have the money to open up a barbershop anytime soon. And I think I went into further detail as to why, but I also disclosed to him that I did not feel comfortable with sharing his financial situations because it wasn't my story to tell. I thought that's where the story was going to end, or he would ask more questions on his haircutting skills, or, that's it. However, I was wrong. Boy, was I wrong. He went to go ask if he had a job. And of course I said yes. Now I don't remember if he was still working as a security officer, or if he had finally started working as a car salesman, as he is right now. But regardless, he had a job, and I told him, yes, but that really doesn't change anything. And to him, apparently that does. He went to further say, well, if he has a job, then there's no reason why he shouldn't have money. It just blew me away how dismissive he was to existing issues that humans usually go through. Especially humans who have history, if not bad history, with people who screw them over. Again, I did not want to get into detail as to why my boyfriend was struggling. It just needed to exist in his head that it's not as easy as just getting a job and suddenly having money to spend. I go to tell him, well, that might be easy for you to say, but for him, he just has a lot of things to deal with right now. And then he went to go, I guess, stroke his own ego by saying, well, I have the money to start a business whenever I want to. But of course did not explain what business he would start or anything else beyond that. He just boasted the fact that he could do it, which obviously entails that he can't. Because I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, if you could, then why are you working at this dead-end job anyways? The job we were working at as a security officer is no grandiose job, let me tell you. It's far from. We're no TSA. We're no secret government agents. We're literally just watching doors and walking around a building all day. We're not doing anything spectacular. Heck, we're not even armed officers. If we can even call us officers, we're literally glorified doormen. That's it. We just call in doors and walk around. And we're being paid, I guess, livable wages. Enough to pay rent, that's it. We're not making any spectacular hey, this job is not fantastic, and it's pretty much a joke. The place made it out to seem like it was some huge job, and every time we try not to disclose where we work, everybody immediately knows exactly where we work, because everybody who's anybody has either worked there or knows somebody who works there. So to hear him boast about how he could easily make a company and easily run a job just sounded absolutely ridiculous. Now, let me bring it to your attention that he is not much older than I am. He's no, old retired man with experience who acts like that you have to have money just sitting around. No, he's literally, maybe 25, 26 when I met him. So, he has no experience under his belt. He might be running off daddy's money, but that's about it. We kind of got into this heated conversation about how just because you have money doesn't mean you can just spend on your money on whatever you want. And eventually I had to just leave because I could not disclose why my boyfriend wasn't able to just get a barber shop and just have all the needs that he needs to actually run a shop and all that. So I just left. I just walked out of the room and got back to work. And I avoided him. And that wasn't the first time we had the conversation. Unfortunately, I had forgotten that I had asked him or told him about my boyfriend being able to cut hair. So when he said he needed his hair cut again, I accidentally told him that, hey, my boyfriend cuts hair. And then he said, you already told me this. I told you why I didn't want it. And then he tried to go back to the conversation again when I remembered the last interaction we had. And then I tried leaving, even though he was still trying to continue the conversation. It was just frustrating, and that's not the first time I was told this. I think just as I got my first job, or even before I even got my first job, somebody else said, if you have a job, you have money. And it didn't make sense to me then. Of course, back then, I didn't even have a real understanding of how money works, but it still didn't make sense to me then. I want to bring to your attention the difference between me and the other people I've met in my life. So he mentioned, you have a job, you have money. If you have money, you can just suddenly have a career and a lifestyle. Which isn't the case. Unless you're, born rich or something. But unfortunately, I'm an average American, and rich does not exist in my definition. I have a rather sheltered life. I never really had much of a traumatic experience like a lot of people in the world have. Some people who are very, very unfortunate have their credit completely demolished before they even are able to talk. Because they have horrible family members and or friends of those family members who use their name to get houses or cars, and then they don't make payments, and so their name just gets worse and worse. And sometimes the credit can never get fixed because it's happened for so long that they just don't care. I don't know why this happens or how come there's not an easier way to test to see whether or not the name is even legal to use, but I'm not going to get into that debate. The point I'm trying to make is some people's lives are destroyed before they're even able to talk, and it completely ruins their chances once they finally get their lives together because they don't even have a chance to begin with. Now, this is not the situation that my boyfriend's going through, and I will not get into detail as to what it is. However, just using that as an example, that I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I have not had that. In fact, I don't think I've ever had any real inquiries with not only my credit, but any other money or financial situation, knock on wood. But the point I'm trying to make is I have lived a rather sheltered life, have probably, I guess, okay credit because I haven't had anything bad happen to it. In fact, I didn't even have credit when I first started. And while my mom says no credit's better than having bad credit, it's still no credit. And a lot of places don't want to give you the chance because they are worried that, well, it could screw them over. Or screw you over, or whatever the case. Me having a sheltered life, I had nothing bad or good, I guess, going for me. However, as luck would have it, I'm broke. I don't have money. I don't have just money sitting around. My first job, I guess I finally had money, but I still had to make payments on stuff. I still had to pay for rent. And now, ever since, I wouldn't say more independent, but ever since I got in a car, money has been more, I guess, of an issue to hold on to. As time goes by, more things start to tack onto my financial situation. People have cars, people have phones, people have houses, electricity, Wi-Fi, medical bills, all the sorts, and some people unfortunately have debt. So if you have a job, that means 9 times out of 10 your money's being sucked away before you can even use it. But to this guy who has a silver spoon in his mouth, has probably never heard of such a thing called a bill in his entire life. You're probably thinking, maybe I heard his words wrong. Maybe he meant that he should invest his money towards being a barber, and that maybe I just misheard him. But that's not what he meant. In fact, the following words did not change what I heard at all. It sounded like he meant what he said and he said what he meant. Now, if he meant that he should invest in being a barber, then he should have worded it as such or something similar to. If your boyfriend wants to be a barber, then he should think or consider about putting money aside and working towards being a barber, even if it means that he works under somebody or gets a second job or finding some way to get some more income and just putting it into a savings account. Just coming up with some useful information that would help my boyfriend in some way, shape, or form just get a little bit extra cash. So I can't imagine somebody that young having some kind of financial idea or skills or hacks that would benefit my boyfriend in any way. He didn't come anywhere close to saying that. He was just being difficult and being rude and being inconsiderate to the situations that everybody else is having. Just dismissive and thinking that, oh, everything's fun and fine, just as fine, as long as you have a job, and there's no problem or reason why it should be this difficult. I later explained this to my boyfriend, trying to explain this person to him, but I think because he was so new in the security place that he just could not recognize the guy through explanation or detail. But I don't think he really cared. It just bugged me more because I know the struggles that he went through and it was unfair. But the fact that someone was so dismissive of it because, oh, I have daddy's money and so human problems don't concern me, you should just have money and be okay with it. I don't have any kind of tips or tricks to just get yourself out of a sticky situation. Heck, I'm barely making ends meet and keep having to pull from savings just to have a bit of spare cash sitting around. It's not easy. And like I said before, with the fact that I have had a sheltered life, I've never had anything bad happen, all that stuff, but, I don't have the means to just up and have a company running. As you guys know, I already want to be, some kind of fashion person who makes jackets and sometimes bags and patches. But just because I haven't had all these bad things happen doesn't mean I have the money just sitting around, It takes money to make money. And for him, he has to, get a certificate or something, have a barber place, get all the equipment in the place, like seats and mirrors and razors and all that fancy stuff. It takes a lot. Probably far more than what I have. I don't know. I really don't know what goes into it, but it's not that easy. And for anyone starting a company, anyone trying to start a career or whatever, it takes money to make money. So if you're scared to spend a little extra cash, it just means you're probably not really putting your heart into it. Yes, there's probably ways to go about it smart, or maybe not spending as much cash, but no one said you had to spend $1,000 or anything. Just as time goes on, you have to spend more money whether you like it or not. You need better equipment, you need better skills, you need better area, locations, building, etc., etc. And this guy, he had no idea what he was talking about. Hey everyone, this is Leanne. Thank you guys for getting to this point of the video. If you want to see more content like this, be sure to check out our previous video, Perfection, where I talk about my extreme attention to detail. It gets pretty bad. Also, I have an entire playlist of content just like this, so be sure to check that out. If you enjoy my content, be sure to like and subscribe for more stuff just like this. I'll be here all week.